name's Keith Evans, and welcome to the Speak Hope Now podcast. We have a Roku TV channel. You can find our channel by looking for our Resurgent Life logo. And you can go right into Roku, hit that search menu, and type in Resurgent Life. And you'll find our channel there and our logo, and you can add that to your list of channels, and you can enjoy this podcast and many other episodes on our Roku channel. And so we're so excited about it. And we're excited about this podcast as well, because I think that you're going to learn a lot about mental health and how mental health collides with our everyday life. And just kind of want to break down some of the things that we're going to be doing in these podcast episodes, some of the themes that we're going to have and share with you. And we're going to have different guests on talking about some of these themes. And I think you're going to gain a lot of knowledge, and it's going to help you immensely. And it'll help your family as well. It'll help your friends too. And we're starting off with this kind of umbrella theme called When Mental Health and Life Collides. And that'll break down into some other themes that we have underneath it. And those themes are, when mental health and faith collide, when mental health and family collides, when mental health and relationships collide, when mental health and parenting collides, when mental health and finances collide, when mental health and politics collide. I think you get the idea, right? There's a lot of things that can collide with mental health, and it can exacerbate some symptoms that we may not want in our personal lives or in our family. And so these are going to be really interesting topics. We're going to break these things down and really dissect it and try to excise it out of our lives, so to speak. And I think as we grow in wisdom and stature, we're going to be able to recognize those things that hinder us, that kind of weigh us down. And we're going to be able to overcome these areas of life that maybe we're not seeing the victory in. And I think it's so important for us to learn and grow. And I think that's going to be crucial, not only to our mental state, but it's going to be crucial to our physical person, our spiritual person, and our emotional state of being. So some of the things that we'll talk about and break down are things like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, OCD, PTSD, and there's many more diagnoses that we can kind of break down and really gain a strong understanding, a strong knowledge of, so that we can identify them within ourselves. Maybe we need to identify it in someone else. And when we learn these things, we're able to overcome some interesting circumstances and situations in life that we might face, or that maybe somebody else might be facing. And when it comes to depression, we can see a lot of different symptoms. Some of the symptoms are hopelessness, helplessness, sadness, tearfulness. Some people experience self-harm. They'll go down the path of either not caring for themselves, or they actually go down the path of harming themselves. That's when we see things like people cutting, or people not eating disorders. Maybe they're overeating. We see a lot of symptoms along those lines when it comes to counseling and when it comes to depression specifically. Lack of sleep can be a sign of depression. And there's some chemicals in our body too that if they're not at the level that they need to be, then we can have some symptoms of depression. And we can also see anxiety as well. Anxiety is something that is just bombarding our society since the pandemic. I would say depression is right up there with anxiety, probably even more. I think some of the statistics show that more people have depression, but I think people are going down the path of having more and more anxiety, and that would consist of panic attacks, where there's shortness of breath, shakiness, there's a lack of focus and concentration. People have heart palpitations, sweating profusely, and people can go down this path of having racing thoughts, where they can't control their thoughts. They're constantly thinking about things that are possibly negative, things that are out of their control. They're cycling. That's a term that we kind of use when it comes to racing thoughts. They're cycling, and they can't find the groundedness needed to overcome that level of symptomology. And so anxiety can really overtake a person and cause a lot of problems. There's some chemicals in our body too, that if they are not balanced, that they are at a lower level, that it can cause us anxiety. It can cause us, some major issues in life, and it can keep us from things that we might enjoy or might want to participate in, or we need to do to keep life moving forward. Bipolar disorder, we'll probably break this down in a couple of different episodes. We're seeing a lot more people who are struggling with bipolar disorder. And, there's two types of bipolar disorder. There's bipolar type 1 and there's bipolar type 2. And I would encourage you to go, online and search bipolar disorder and gain as much knowledge as you can about this disorder. One of those types deals a lot more with depression, and there's manic behavior mixed in. But there's another type of bipolar that really goes down the path of a heightened level of manic behavior or mania that some people would call risky behavior in the field of counseling. So bipolar disorder can be a very upsetting disorder if it's not treated correctly, and it can lead to broken relationships. And that's something that we don't want to see happen. We don't want to see mental health and life collide. We want to see, the coexistence of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. So we want to see this balance in a person's life. We don't want to see anybody out of balance. And we'll probably break down in future episodes personality disorders. One of the big ones that's tossed around a lot is borderline personality disorder. I read a great book called Stop Walking on Eggshells, and it has a first edition and a second edition. I would refer you to the second edition because I think it's a lot more powerful than the first edition. But both of them are really good and really knowledgeable about borderline personality disorder. And they state in the book, the authors state in the book, that there's two main markers of borderline personality disorder. The first one is it's all about me. It's all about me. Life surrounds me. And if you don't acknowledge that, if you don't go down the path of affirming that, then I have nothing to do with you. The second marker is that there's no empathy for anybody else. Empathy is more than sympathy. Sympathy goes down the path of, if I can use this example loosely, you see a homeless person on the street, and you say, man, I feel sorry for that person. And you don't do anything to help them. That's sympathy. You just feel sorry for that particular person. Empathy goes the next mile. Empathy causes a person to take action, and they help that person. They go the extra mile. They bind up their wounds. They take them to a hotel. They pay for all of their expenses, possibly for many days. Maybe they get them some treatment as well. So that's more so along the lines of a good example of empathy. And so with a borderline person who is struggling with this personality disorder, you have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're dealing with someone who has no empathy for others. Again, if you don't fit into their mold, if you don't fit into their thought process, and it's not all about them, then you're on the out. And so we'll talk a lot about that in these podcasts, in these episodes. I think you'll get a lot out of it. Now, a lot of people also struggle with OCD, and OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. We may break down a few popular names in the media on TV that you might know who are struggling with OCD, and we'll probably talk about how they cope with their OCD, how they deal with their OCD. A lot of times there's a tool and a strategy, and we'll talk about these tools and strategies here in a minute, but there's a tool and strategy that can be used to help someone overcome their OCD, and it's called exposure therapy. And, we can really help a lot of people as long as they go down this path of exposing themselves to a particular activity over and over and over again until they get comfortable with that particular activity. And then we can see OCD kind of decline and, dissipate a little bit. But OCD is something that a lot of people are struggling with. I think another area of life that the pandemic has really wreaked havoc with is PTSD. I know a lot of people have talked about PTSD, and maybe you've heard of PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress disorder, and we'll be breaking down the symptoms of that. Again, it entails depression and anxiety, and there's a lot of other areas there because somebody's experienced trauma in their lives. And boy, I was shocked when I went through a recent list of what trauma entails. And trauma covers a lot of different bases. And that'll be really intriguing as we break that down specifically when it comes to PTSD. But what we're seeing as an offshoot in all of these areas of mental health is we're seeing people that either have high insight or a moderate level of insight or a very low level of insight, sometimes even poor insight. And it's because, these diagnoses have come alive in the life of a person, and they're not managing very well. They're not coping very well. So their insight takes a toll, and they don't have the insight to be able to look beyond their immediate situation and be able to progress. Sometimes having low or poor insight or even moderate insight, it can affect our executive functioning. And when it comes to our executive functioning skills, it's our skills that we need on a day-to-day basis, right? To balance our checkbook, to make sure our bills are paid, to go down the path of working a job, to go down this path of being productive in relationships around us. So executive functioning can really take a toll if we are bombarded by these diagnoses and the symptoms that come with the diagnoses, and we have a lower level of insight. Our executive functioning can crumble, and that's something that we want to be able to go down and help and build up and encourage you through this podcast to have a higher level of executive functioning. That may mean that we need some emotional regulation. It may also mean that we need, a higher level of distress tolerance to be able to deal with some of the issues and situations and circumstances that we're dealing with. And that can lead us down the path of making better decisions. Our decision making can improve because we have a greater level of insight and we have better executive functioning as well. And when we make better decisions, we can have mindfulness, not only for ourselves, but for others around us. And we need that more and more today. There's a lower level of mindfulness, and we see that in our society today. Every time we see someone beat up on the subway or beat up in the community or harmed in some form or fashion, we know that we're dealing with as a society this level of mindfulness for others. We need to really gain that good level of mindfulness for ourselves and for others. It starts with caring for ourselves. It starts with caring for others as well. And that leads us down the path of our coping skills or personal medicine. That's a phrase that's being thrown around right now for coping skills. And I like that whole concept of personal medicine. It doesn't replace medications, but it comes alongside. And a lot of people really need to tap back into those coping skills or that personal medicine that made them happy in the past, right? I mean, during the pandemic, my wife and I were blessed to be able to go to the beach. There were not that many people at the beach because of the pandemic. And we needed to recharge our batteries by going to that place of solace and bouncing ourselves back by having some time at the beach, hearing the waves crash on the shore, the warm sand beneath our feet, feeling the cool breeze come off of the breaking of the waves, the seagulls, the boats. Just that relaxing time out on the beach was just wonderful for us in recharging our inner battery, right? Recharging us as individuals, recharging us as a couple so that we could get back and do the things that we needed to do to continue to live and to live with a lot of happiness and a lot of hope. Our relationships are important. And if these things break down, if our insight, if our executive functioning, if our decision making, if our mindfulness, if our personal medicine breaks down, our relationships are going to break down. And so we don't want to do that. We want to protect them. And so we give tools in counseling, tools like cognitive behavioral therapy. That's like CBT. That's what we call it in the counseling world. Cognitive behavioral therapy really challenges the thinking and the behavior of the person, causes them to maybe pluck out some alternatives based on what they're doing. A good example would be if a couple's fighting or if a family is fighting over washing the dishes, right? Well, a suggestion might be to use paper plates instead of, stoneware or, hard plastic ware. It might be going down the path of using paper plates. When you're done with the meal, you throw it out, right? Instead of having to wash it or get into a fight over who's going to wash it this night or not. So cognitive behavioral therapy really challenges the thinking and the behavior of the person. We use DBT therapy. I saw a recent episode of She-Hulk. I hope I can say that on here without getting dinged, but the Incredible Hulk was making fun of, not really making fun of, he was kind of teaching She-Hulk about DBT therapy. And so I found that to be kind of, funny. But DBT therapy is a great tool to help us with a lot of these diagnoses. They have 4 pillars in DBT. The first one is emotional regulation. The second one is distress tolerance. The third one is mindfulness. And the last one is interpersonal effectiveness. And so we're going down a path where we're trying to help a person regulate their emotions a little bit better, maybe point out certain areas where they can improve, and they're journaling, they're seeing specifically what it is that they need to maybe improve on when it comes to their emotions, or what they need to control. Maybe they're coming in and they're dealing with anger. Maybe they're coming in and they're dealing with, impulsiveness. And so we can go down the path of helping them control those emotions that lead to anger or that lead to impulsiveness. When it comes to distress tolerance, people just have a lower level of resiliency. And so they need more resiliency, right? They need a higher level of distress tolerance to deal with certain issues. And a lot of times it's just going down the path of seeing people's predictable behavior. Maybe they're dealing with someone that gets under their skin, a family member that states things that are negative all the time. And it's going down the path of identifying that behavior and possibly stating, okay, this is predictable. This person's going to do this all the time. It's nonstop with them. So I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this get under my skin. I'm going to continue to have a nice relationship with them, a good relationship with them, and I'm going to actively ignore what they're doing so my distress tolerance doesn't plummet. My distress tolerance has an ability to rise, and I'm not going to be bothered by this person's behavior. That gives us a greater level of interpersonal effectiveness, right? It takes us down a path where we can get along with about anybody once we have a game plan that's effective. When it comes to football, these football teams need a game plan. NBA basketball players need a game plan. Even though I've seen football players go down the path of playing some backyard football, there's a broken play. Basketball, they're playing some, backyard basketball, and the play might be broken there every once in a while. Most of the time, these teams have good plays that they've put forth, that they've created, that they've written up. And those plays, most of the time, are pretty successful. And that's what we need to have in life when it comes to our interpersonal effectiveness. We need to go down the path of having a game plan that we can rely on, that we know is going to be successful, so that we don't have dysregulation when it comes to our emotions, and we don't have this whole concept of a lower distress tolerance or a lower level of resiliency. We need that interpersonal effectiveness. How do we get that interpersonal effectiveness? Well, it's through mindfulness. We're mindful of ourselves. We know how we're going to react. We know what we're going to do. And we also know about others and what they're going to do and what they need in their personal lives. And that takes us down a path where we can truly overcome a lot of challenges and difficulties. If we're having a lot of struggles with PTSD and trauma and we can't take it, we probably need to go down the path of getting a treatment called EMDR. EMDR stands for eye movement, EMI movement. The research states that we're overly stimulated, right? And a lot of times in relationships, a lot of times in life, we can be overly stimulated through our eye movement. So what we need to do is go down the path of the D and the R, right? Where we have some desensitization from our eye movement and from those things around us and from the thoughts that are bombarding us. And we need to go down the path of reprocessing those things. And there's techniques that are built into EMDR that can be extremely helpful. And I would love to kind of break that stuff down in future episodes and maybe even weave in some videos where we're going to be doing some really great things with these podcasts, where we're going to be weaving some things in and out. And I really love our team here, Shield of Hope and Donnie Shields, man. He's got a great eye for all of this when it comes to podcasts and video creation. And we're going to have some pretty creative things here that I think you're going to enjoy. You're going to be able to learn and understand a lot of these things. We're going to be able to use freely because we got some permission for it. And we're going to be able to show you some really great tools and strategies to overcome, these diagnoses and the symptomology that you might be facing. And then we can offer you telehealth counseling as needed, and we can offer you face-to-face appointments if you're in our local area where our office is located. We can go down the path of giving you the help that you need. And I'm just really excited about all the things that we have that we're going to be offering to you through this podcast. And I hope you check us out. Check us out on the Roku channel. We'll be having probably some Speak Hope Now in a minute on Facebook and on social media, possibly Instagram, maybe some others if they stand the test of time. But we will, be airing some of those things online as well. And I think you're going to find it really, really informative, and it's going to help you immensely. And so look us up on the Roku channel under Resurgent Life. Remember, you can go to that search part of the Roku channel and you can type in Resurgent Life. You'll see our logo pop up, and you can get to see all the episodes that we're going to have on there. I think we're going to have, episodes when it comes to mental health, like the Speak Hope Now podcast. We're going to have concerts, movies. We're going to have some spiritual formation on there as well. We're going to have guests, other people that are going to air some videos on there that I think you're going to find thoroughly enjoyable, thoroughly entertaining, thoroughly knowledgeable. And man, we're so excited about presenting this to you. We're developing a lot of different things when it comes to this. And man, I believe that you're going to be blessed. We have some great events that are coming up. I want to share with you what's happening on Friday, December 9th. Glory Way is going to be in concert. Glory Way is a phenomenal men's singing group, and they are incredible. They have literally been all across the country. I think they've been to California. They've been down to Florida. They've been all over Tennessee. Man, they've just been everywhere. I think they were at Dolly World. Man, they brought the house down in Dolly World with their performance. They've been on TV. Guy Pennington and his TV show. They've been everywhere, all across the country. I know they've been here in the state of Pennsylvania, and we're going to have them on Friday, December 9th at 7 p.m. at Shiloh Bible Church. And they've opened up the doors for us to hold this concert. We want you to invite all your friends, all your family. You can see our ad right here. And you can look on our website, www.resurgentlife.org, for more information on that concert event. You can actually see the advertisement that we're going to have in the newspaper here locally in our area. And again, if you can't come out here in our Bloomsburg area to see this concert at Shiloh Bible Church, we're going to be airing it right here on the Roku channel, and you'll be able to watch that concert. You'll be able to see some interviews there with the band members of Glory Way. And we're so excited to share that with you. We have tons of other activities and events coming up futuristically, and we'll be getting all those to you in future episodes, from workshops that are going to be online. And we're putting all of those together. One of them that we're working on is a holiday workshop where we're talking about getting over the hardships of the holiday. And so I know you're going to like that workshop. And there's a small fee for it when you sign up online. We'll give you all that information on our website. Again, resurgentlife.org. It'll be a small fee of $10 to get on to that workshop, and you can sign up, pay for it ahead of time, and then we'll send out a link so that you can get on and participate in all of our workshops. So we're going to have a workshop starting after the holiday, after Christmas, in the new year, and then going all the way straight through the new year. We're going to have one a month, and you'll be able to participate with that and get some more information on our online workshops and seminars. Thanks for watching Speak Hope Now. And you can watch all of our content on the Roku channel. Just search Resurgent Life, check out our logo, and you can see all the content there. We hope to see you soon.